Hi, my name is Chad Morris. I'm from Parkersburg, West Virginia. I currently live here in Portsmouth, Ohio. I'm a recovering drug addict. My clean date is October 3rd, 2019. Being stuck in addiction, the powerlessness behind it, I witnessed my best friend, which was like a father figure to me, overdose. And the powerlessness of the disease of addiction, I decided that I would do one more before I called the ambulance, and on the same stuff that made him pass out, and I woke up 5 hours later and he was dead.
Mm.
So that was kind of the starting point of knowing that like there's real issues that I need to address. So my first experience with any kind of emotional despair in my life, I was 5 years old and my dad committed suicide. He was an alcoholic. My whole entire life, there has been this void. There's been a void in me that I started filling with alcohol and marijuana at a young age, with trying to fit in with everybody, trying to fit in with the cool kids, doing the things that they want to do, even though it went against my moral stand that I took when I was a kid. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be, I wanted to fill that void. This void filling went on for a long time. I got married. I had a little boy, and I had all these things that I was chasing in life. I had the white picket fence. I owned my own business in Columbus, Ohio. That was very successful, very quickly. I graduated college. I have an associate's degree in criminal justice. What made me really start seeking something, I don't know if it's sobriety necessarily, but to fill that void, is I was sitting in my garage after having all these things that I chased my whole life, and there was just I was empty. There was just something inside of me that was missing. I was miserable, and I had everything that I ever, wanted per se. What is the best thing about being clean, sober? I work Narcotics Anonymous. I have sponsees in Narcotics Anonymous. So the correct terminology is clean, but taking the drugs completely out of it, I had a real issue with my thinking, problem solving, managing money. Everything that I touched was just falling apart around me. So the best thing about being clean is I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore. I ain't got to worry about the things around me breaking. I have peace in my heart. I have gratitude for all the things that I have, and I got to constantly remind myself of those things. But it's so nice to be able to enjoy the small things in life. I remember coming into recovery and being able to hear the birds chirp. We went on a little hike, and I could hear the birds chirp, and I seen the sun shining through the trees on this trail we were walking. And for the first time in my life, I stopped and I got to soak that stuff in. Being able to notice these things wouldn't be as enjoyable if I haven't seen such a dark side. So I'm very grateful also for what I've been through, to be able to enjoy these things on the level that I do today. What keeps me on the path of sobriety? The gift of desperation. It's not about necessarily knowing exactly who I am, but finding enough self-love to know who I am not. And that was like a start to keep keep me on this path. And, I honestly got to give a lot of, or all the credit to my higher power, which is God, and the hope that I have through Him. The faith that I know, like, when things start going south, to know, like, God's got this. It's going to be okay. No matter what the beliefs are, even if it's a different set of beliefs, like, that stuff will equal out. Emotions and feelings are like buses. There'll be another one that comes by in 15 minutes. In the core of our disease, it talks about it in the Narcotics Anonymous book, is self-obsession, which in turn, in my beliefs, and the biblical beliefs that I have, is a thinking deficiency. I've never been taught to think in these certain ways to solve problems, kind of like I was talking about before, but to solve problems and to be able to sit still and kind of let, loosen my grip a little bit. So the reason I came into recovery was a lot of external motivators. So my son being one, I didn't want him growing up without a dad, like I did. So being in recovery, I got a bunch of suggestions. That I wasn't too thrilled about because I was still stuck on my own ideas. So I started giving up control a little bit. At this point, I didn't believe in God. I was mad at God. I didn't believe in anything. I hated myself, hated the image I seen in the mirror, and I was just, I was at a loss. So I started taking these small suggestions. Sit still, pump your brakes, get a sponsor, work some steps, get involved in a clean crew, get involved in the church, in the community. So against my will and all these things, I began to do these things. Success leaves clues, right? So I started following these little clues that I'm getting. Success leaves crumbs is another thing. Another way I like to put that. But success leaves clues, and I started following these clues. And somewhere along the way, I can't really explain it, but things started to feel, the weight on my shoulders started to lessen a little bit. Situations became more manageable. My anger started to dissipate. I started to love more. I started learning a lot about myself on the down moments I had, because recovery isn't all about being happy and puppy dogs and rainbows and sunshine and all that stuff. And I really got to the point to where I was like, all right, I was learning more about myself in these down moments, my character and my self-worth, my self-love. People say love yourself. Okay, well, how do I do that? It's winning the small little battles, and not only winning these small little battles, being aware of these battles, which is also principles that is shared in the Narcotics Anonymous program, as well as AA and biblical. Their principles, the universal principles, no matter what you believe in, awareness and vigilance, and so somebody gave me a piece of advice. Love people, love God, and the rest will work itself out. So I took all these suggestions. On my down moments, I took that piece of advice. I loved on people when I didn't want to. I loved something. It wasn't God yet. It wasn't a term to it. I had integrity. These things started to work out. These moments would pass, the hard moments would pass, and sunnier days were, they came and they went, and that's life. So after following these suggestions for an amount of time, life started getting put back together. I became a dad to my son, um, which being in recovery and being a parent in recovery is like two totally different levels. And I'm not great with relationships. I've never had positive relationships or healthy relationships in my life. So moving on, I'm doing all these things. I got the job. I'm going to church. I'm part of my church, Life Point here in Portsmouth. I work with the kids at church. I'm very involved. I started a foundation called Whatever It Takes, which is a suicide, overdose, and domestic violence awareness fellowship, moving towards the prevention of addiction for kids in the community, and some events to give these kids something more positive. And it's a peer support solution idea that I had when I was in treatment. So that's another thing that keeps me pushing. I got goals. I think goals are very important. Without goals, I would be like a dog chasing my tail. Wouldn't know what to do if I caught it. So I got, this. I started to gain a little bit of purpose, and on my 9-month clean date, I got a call from my older brother. My older brother told me that my mom had just passed from a drug overdose. I've done so much stuff to my body over these years in my mind, numbing all the pain that I had been through as a kid. And, my mom being in and out of prison and on and off drugs. I didn't really know how to accept that. Even though I had grieved her death a long time before it happened, I didn't know. I couldn't feel anything when I got that news. It's crazy to think, 9 months before this, I was, begging to get in treatment. But with all these little things that I was doing, mentally, I didn't know exactly how to live in the solution in this problem. Spiritually, something showed up for me. I showed up to my mom's funeral. Well, a couple of days before, I went back to Parkersburg, and I planned her whole funeral. Recovery has given me the blessing to give me a job and things to where now I'm paying for her funeral. So, grief is a big thing for me. I grieved my dad for a long time. I grieved relationships in my family for a long time. Now the grief of my mother. And my brother, my best friend, as well. He's out there in active addiction, and
hang on. Go ahead.
He came through treatment and then left. So I get this bond back with somebody that I trust, and then bam, gone again. So something big that keeps me in recovery, keeps me going, is setting boundaries. Setting my standards high, knowing my value, which took a long time for me to get to this point. I got some goals. You're going to lead, follow, or get out of my way. I have priorities. First priority to me in life, no matter what, is my higher power / recovery, whatever that higher power looks like to you. To me, like, it comes first. Which means if I see a red flag in any situation, it's back to that principle awareness. If I see a red flag in any situation, I'm out. One red flag. I'll help you from a distance, but as far as a priority, I got to prioritize. I think that's one of the things that I'm getting better at and I'm growing at, prioritizing. Learning about myself. It's really fun to learn the things about myself, like a big science project. You know, there's some things that I enjoy doing. There's some things I don't enjoy doing. But the gift of recovery is that I get to kind of decipher those and plug and play things, as I see fit. The experiment of me and the selfish and self-centeredness that I showed in that drug addiction all that time was really my heart. I wore my heart on my sleeve, and everybody I was around just kept letting me down. I remember bringing my report card home from school one day, and there was no one there to look at it. There was no one there to give me a pat on the back. My love language is words of affirmation. If you don't know your love language, you probably should learn it. What makes us tick? I like a pat on the back. But the cool thing about pats on the back today is, like, they don't dictate what I do. They don't, people's opinion of me, everybody wants to say, and not everybody, but a lot of people in recovery wants to say, like, I don't care what you think about me. In all reality, like, I care what you think about me, but I want it to be good. But also, like, I'm not going to let that dictate, my mood. If you think good about me, or you think bad about me, my goal is to stay consistent. Consistent in the fundamentals of life and what I've learned about it. Mind, body, spirit. So all these things, I had to simplify recovery. I think love is the glue that puts the world together. I think that people need to know they're not alone. I've been brought back with Narcan 10 times. I've been pronounced dead 2 times. They brought the body back in. At the time, I didn't realize it. But I believe that there's a reason I'm still alive. Getting myself around the people I have, through recovery, my clean crew, Life Point Church, the inpatient facility that I went to. But I tell you where I have a huge shout out of gratitude for, and that's the people at Mahajan Therapeutics. They individualized me when they came. I didn't feel like I was part of a curriculum, as opposed to, like, where is he at and how can we best serve, Chad as an individual? How can we best serve Chad? And Nick did a great job with that. PJ is he's a great leader here. The staff at Mahajan was always very helpful, courteous. Anything, they would go out of their way to help me. I also attend Life Point Church with Ricky, Mr. Bennett that works here, and there's one thing that people can set and say, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, we can do this and we can do that. But one of the most impactful people, and I'm not even sure if he knows it, has been Ricky. I see Ricky coming into to church with his family. Ricky's humility has just been like so impactful to me, and like I said, I don't even know if he knows it. There's Charles and Sue Kemp, Brian and Michelle Kimmy, Dreama and David Barry, Daryl and Krista. There's so many people along this journey that has helped me, that continue to help me. The best part about that is like I know who I can lean on these days. I don't have to reach out to everybody and just take food or spiritual guidance from anybody. I'm very selective, and these people has been just they showed me enough love until I learned how to love myself. I give a shout out to everybody that's ever hurt me. I give a shout out to them. I give a shout out to the people that's not big fans of me today. I give a shout out to those kids that picked on me when I was back in school. Because I had to let go. I had to let go of all these resentments. Realize these people that had hurt me in my past, they could only hurt me because I allowed them to. But they have been like the biggest factor in my story, is the hard times and the people that's hard on me. Once I learned to forgive them, I was able to let all those people I just talked about into my heart. But I had to forgive them. Forgiveness was like the foundation for me to find love.